It's funny how the smallest moments, ones we almost forget as soon as they happen, can change everything. Jake didn't expect his entire life to shift that rainy Thursday morning. Not when he grabbed his keys off the counter, not when he almost left his wallet behind, and definitely not when he stood impatiently in line at the small corner coffee shop near his office. He was late. Again, his job as a junior marketing associate at a mid-sized firm downtown was draining him piece by piece. The long hours, the thankless presentations, the constant pressure to prove himself. It all left him worn out, running on caffeine and blind hope. The line crawled forward, and Jake distracted himself by scrolling through emails on his phone, mindlessly planning the rest of his day. That's when he noticed her. She stood a few spots ahead, wrapped in a worn-out gray hoodie, damp from the rain. Her hair pulled into a messy bun like she hadn't had time to brush it that morning, or maybe several mornings before. There was a nervous energy about her. She kept glancing over her shoulder and biting her lip. When it was her turn, she ordered something simple, a small black coffee, bare minimum. Jake wasn't really listening until it happened. The barista rang her up. She pulled out a debit card and handed it over. The machine beeped, then beeped again, then displayed the word that makes anyone's stomach drop, declined. Her face flushed instantly. She fumbled in her bag, pulling out crumpled dollar bills, counting them with trembling fingers, only to come up short by exactly 70 cents. Maybe I'll just cancel it, she mumbled, her voice shaking. It's fine. Before Jake even realized what he was doing, he stepped forward. Hey, don't worry about it, he said, pulling out his card and tapping it against the reader. She froze. Her eyes lifted to meet his, bright green but glassy, as if she was holding back tears. You don't have to, she started. I want to, he said quickly, giving her a small smile. It's just coffee. Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. Instead, she just nodded, grabbed her cup with shaking hands, whispered, "Thank you," and rushed out the door like she couldn't get away fast enough. And just like that, she was gone. Jake didn't think much of it afterward. He paid for his own coffee and went on with his day. Meetings, emails, traffic, the noise of everyday life. The encounter stayed in his mind for a few hours at most, then faded into the blur of forgettable moments. But life had other plans. 2 weeks later, Jake was on his usual route to work when he noticed something odd. A small crowd had gathered near the park entrance across from the coffee shop. Curious, he crossed the street. As he got closer, he realized they weren't there for a protest or a street performance. There was a woman sitting on a blanket with a battered guitar in her lap, playing softly despite the drizzle. A cardboard sign sat propped beside her, with hastily scribbled words, "Trying to get back on my feet. Thank you for listening." It was her. The girl from the coffee shop. Her hoodie looked even more worn, her hair still messy, but her voice stopped him cold, soft but powerful, raw, full of heartache and hope all wrapped together. People tossed coins and dollar bills into the open guitar case, but she didn't seem to care about the money. She sang like it was the only thing holding her together. Jake stood there frozen, a cup of coffee cooling in his hand, as her song poured through the air like a confession she couldn't speak otherwise. When she finished, a few people clapped half-heartedly and drifted away. She sat there alone, pulling her knees to her chest like she wanted to disappear. Before he could overthink it, Jake walked over. "Hey," he said softly. She looked up, startled, recognition flickering in her eyes. "You again?" she whispered, blinking like she wasn't sure if he was real. He sat beside her on the damp curb, ignoring the wet seeping through his pants. "I didn't know you played," he said. She gave a hollow laugh. "I didn't know you cared." For a second, neither of them spoke. The city moved around them. Cars, people, umbrellas. But in that small bubble, it felt like time slowed down. Finally, she spoke again. "My name's Mia," she said. "In case you were wondering," Jake smiled. "Jake?" They sat like that for a few minutes before she asked, "Why did you pay for my coffee that day?" Jake shrugged. "You looked like you needed it." Her eyes glistened again, but she nodded. Then she said something that stuck with him for a long time. "You didn't just buy me coffee, you know. You bought me 5 more minutes of believing there's still good people left." Over the next few weeks, Jake found himself returning to the park more often. Every morning before work, every evening afterward, sometimes he brought her coffee again, or a sandwich, or just sat and listened while she played. Slowly, Mia began to open up. She told him about losing her job at a local restaurant after it closed down, about not having family nearby, about couch surfing with friends until they couldn't let her stay anymore, about how her savings drained faster than she ever thought possible. "I wasn't always like this," she said one night, shivering under a street lamp. "I used to have plans. I was gonna go to music school. I had gigs lined up, people interested in my songs, and then life happened." Jake listened, really listened. Something in her story cracked him open in places he didn't know were still raw. He thought about his own struggles, about how close he sometimes felt to breaking under the pressure of work and bills and expectations. The difference between him and Mia was luck, timing. A few bad months could have sent him spiraling too. One evening, after one of her sets, Jake had an idea. It started small. He filmed her playing a song with his phone, posted it online with a simple caption. "Saw this girl singing in the park on my way home. She's got something special. Let's help her out." He didn't expect much. A few views, a couple of shares, but within days the video took off. Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments, people asking where they could hear more, offers for gigs, donations pouring into a GoFundMe Jake set up for her. Strangers stopped by the park just to hear her sing. Local news picked up the story. From sidewalk to spotlight, local musician finds hope thanks to one small act of kindness. Jake watched as Mia's eyes lit up with something she hadn't felt in months: hope. Fast forward 2 months later, Mia stood on a small stage at a downtown venue, her guitar strapped across her shoulder, her voice echoing through the speakers to a packed room. Jake stood near the back, his heart full, watching her shine. She caught his eye in the crowd, smiled mid-song, and sang the next verse like it was meant just for him. After the show, she found him by the door. "Do you know how all this started?" she asked, grabbing his hand. He smiled. "A cup of coffee?" She shook her head, tears in her eyes. "No, it started because you saw me when no one else did." That night, walking home under the same drizzle as the morning they first met, Jake realized something. We never really know what someone's going through, how close they are to giving up, how much they're holding in, or how much difference we can make with something as small as paying for a stranger's coffee. And sometimes, that stranger turns out to be something more than we ever expected. Message for the audience: you never know the story behind the stranger standing in front of you. One small act of kindness can change a life. Maybe even yours, who joins the viewers at the end. Mia herself, now thriving, pops up in the outro of the video, performing the very song Jake first heard her sing, leaving everyone with goosebumps and tears in their eyes.